Biography. Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe, born in January 1989 in Boston, was an American short story writer, poet, and critic and editor. Poe's literary career developed during the 19th century, and he wrote in the gothic, horror, and detective fiction genres. He also has a highly original style, which was marked by tragedy and often harsh themes like psychological intensity. Poe was the son of the English-born actress Elizabeth Arnold Poe and David Poe Jr., an actor from Baltimore. After his mother died in Richmond, Virginia in 1812, he was taken into the home of John Allan, a Richmond merchant, and of his children's wife. He was later taken to Scotland and England, where he was given a classical education that was continued in Richmond. For 11 months, he attended the University of Virginia, but his gambling loss at university so incensed that his guardian refused to let him continue. He went to Boston, where he published a pamphlet of joyful biographic poems. Poverty forced him to join the army under the name of Edgar Perry, but on the death of Poe's foster mother, John Allan purchased his release from the army and helped him get an appointment at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Before going, Poe published a new volume at Baltimore. He successfully sought expulsion for the academy, where he was absent for all drills and classes for a week. He proceeded to New York City and brought a volume of poems. Poe then returned to Baltimore, where he began to write stories. There, he made a name as a good critical reviewer and also married his young cousin Virginia Clemm, who was only 13. While in New York City, he published a long prose narrative, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. He became co-director of Burton Gentleman magazine in Philadelphia. There, a contract for a monthly film stimulated him to write William Wilson and the Fall of the House of Usher, a story of supernatural horror. Later, in 1839, Poe's Tales of the Ghost Room and Arabuster appearance. He resigned from Burton about June, but returned in 1841 to edit his successor, Graham Lady and Gentleman magazine, in which he printed The Murders in the Rue Morgue, the first detective story. In the New York Mirror on January 29, 1845, appearance for advance chief of the American Review, his most famous poem, The Raven, an avant-garde ballad of lost love with an indistinctive murder and rhythm scheme. The poem brought him national fame at once. The Raven and the other poems, and a selection of his tales come later that year. And a year later, Poe moved to the cottage in Fordham, where he wrote from Godey's Lady's Book. Poe's wife, Virginia, passed away in January of 1848. A year later, he published the lecture Eureka, and in 1849, he went south, had a will spread in Philadelphia, but go safely to Richmond. Poe has sung for a bombing of death before he left Richmond to Baltimore late in September. There he died, although whether from the for drinking, heart failure, or other cause was still uncertain in this century. Even after his death, Edgar Allan Poe is remembered as recognized as one of the best writers in United States, as well as one of the most experimental of his time. His works are remembered as a darker and macabre facet of writing. His work, with words such as The Raven, The Telltale Heart, The Fall of the House and Usher, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and The Black Cat. They are great exponents of the literary genders and influence of quality and currently literary writers. The plot follows the narrator, an unnamed man with a broken heart that is mourning the death of his beloved Lenore. The Raven is a strange bird that visits the narrator and repeatedly utters the word "never again." The main conflict are the urge of forget and the urge to remember, which seem to be in a strange conflict within the narrator. The narrator takes refuge in his sadness, and the Raven personifies the pain and the loss of the narrator. He presents being a remember of the pain and fall to the madness of the narrator. The poetic structure of this poem is composed by 18 stanzas, each of 6 octometric trocade verse, and the poetic composition is characterized by its musically and stylized language in the natural and supernatural atmosphere it recreates.